Hey guys, it's Misha and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about this disturbing rise in individuals who are confining themselves to just their home or apartment or even to just their room. They have little to no social life, isolate themselves, and often live off of their parents. And there is a term to describe these people. It is Hikikomori, which is a Japanese word. And while this problem is mostly observed in Japan, it is now spreading to other parts of the world. We see that going on here in America. I found a documentary I want to look at where it shows the Hikikomori in France. That's what we're going to be looking at today. But before we start, please make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos.
Most Hikikomori depend on their parents to survive.
I've stood outside his bedroom door many times and begged him to come out, to doctors and been to seminars. All I can say is that it's hard.
Yusuke had a normal childhood, but at university he was bullied by one of his professors and other students.
I've tried to get him interested in things, but he doesn't want to go out. It's making me depressed too.
Something else I've noticed, by the way, is that a lot of these videos, at least the ones that they've shown in these documentaries, it's always the moms who are talking. Now, maybe the dad's around and they just don't want to be on camera, but I have noticed either the father is completely out of the picture or they're just never there.
Suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, he says his condition and an unloving father triggered his isolation.
The Hikikomori phenomenon was identified in the late 1990s, when Japan's post-bubble economic troubles hit young people particularly hard. Most of them are men, but an increasing number are women.
There are a lot of tragic cases of these individuals passing away and only being found weeks later.
If these people had more contact with their neighbours, we could have avoided these solitary deaths. People should pay more attention to others and try to build a real community spirit.
I can't avoid seeing their possessions, so I tell myself that I'm going to get married and not end up alone like them.
この家の隣は普通に日常でこの言っているコミュニティの崩壊かなという。
And I do think a lot of this has to do with the rise of social media, with forming these online communities and preferring that over real-world interactions. So while I know that this didn't cause the problem, I do believe it's making it much worse.
He avoids all contact with the world beyond the tiny room he's barely left in the last decade.
I need the sound of the TV. Otherwise, I don't feel well. The silence reminds me that I'm alone. I often stay in my futon the whole day and just stare at the ceiling.
So people are more anxious, more depressed. A lot of people feel a lot of pressure, especially in a country like Japan. There seems to be an overlap with people suffering from autism, ADHD.
あんまりそんなに認知されてなかったんですよね。田舎の方だったので結構、なんですかね、情報が少なくて。
Kenji has ADHD, a condition that was left undiagnosed until 5 years ago. He believes it played a role in his self-imposed isolation. They're typical of what Japan calls the 80-50 problem, where Hikikomori, aged over 50, live with parents in their 80s.
Alright, so the first few from this video, they're not Hikikomori, but they're talking about their disinterest in marriage and relationships.
Before you moved in here, you had a girlfriend, but what happened?
する機会がこうある。じゃあ解散っていう形で。愛するっていうよりも。
Would you like to have children one day?
特に欲しいとも思ってない。
Do you feel lonely sometimes?
でも結構ありますけどね。友達とかとで、そこで埋められる寂しさではあるなって思っちゃいますね。
Sayaka-san tells us she's happily single
Is the dog in a dress?
and not interested in marriage or kids. What do you think about that?
Grandpa says what's on his mind.
Ogemaru's birthday.
Is that a birthday cake for the dog? Making the same face because what? Talking about my generation, now we did grow up with phones, a lot of us, but usually that was later on, like maybe in your tween years. Now Gen Alpha is going to be a whole nother situation because a lot of those children, right, were given an iPad as soon as they were born. So I especially am worried for that generation. And what are your chances of actually talking to someone if everyone is scrolling on their phone? I've actually seen people who are out together and both are on their phone. So the conversation is limited to maybe 10 words and the rest is just, oh yeah, Like, that's not living. That's not having an actual connection with a human being. You're present for like 2 seconds. But just taking a look at videos of high schoolers before phones, before social media, people just seemed much happier. They seemed like they were communicating with their classmates. Of course, there were still plenty of issues, but people didn't have to worry about social media addiction. Now, when these people find these online communities, they tend to prefer them because then you don't have to put yourself out there, making a fool of yourself in terms of, trying to find a girlfriend or boyfriend. And that's why these companies prey on the people who are suffering, who are lonely, who just want companionship. And so they create these AI girlfriends and AI boyfriends, because then you have this robot thing that won't hurt your feelings, won't tell you that you're wrong when you're doing something wrong. Like, they're just programmed to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And what that's leading to is a lack of a strong community. People have less friends, people aren't dating as much. And of course, when you have influencers telling you to go no contact with your family members for every little thing, if they, God forbid, offended you, that's another problem, because then you won't even have your family. So that leaves people in a very vulnerable position where they're more likely to depend on that online community. And why people are withdrawing from society in Japan, a lot of it has to do with that pressure, with those societal expectations, and when people fail to meet them, they just isolate themselves.
そういうものを例えば見ているとして遊ぶよりも俺の場合はその人との会話とか意思伝達がうまくできないから
Je me couche vers 2 heures en moyenne, puis je me lève généralement entre 10 heures. Je me lève et je suis directement sur le PC quasiment.
I'm just wondering, in terms of how to help these people, what would happen if the power went out? What would happen if they didn't have the computer, the TV, the phone? What would they do? And I'm talking about the individuals who are living off of their parents. And by the way, I know that a lot of people are in that situation where they are working and they are making an income and that they pay rent, but they live with their family. I'm not talking about that situation, but when you are just living there for free and you're not doing anything and you're just in your room playing video games all day long and your family is bringing you food up to your door like a waiter, I'm just wondering what would happen if you didn't have that computer, right? Because that's not really your computer unless you paid for it. Would that help the situation? Would that make them more depressed? I'm just wondering, I don't know.
J'ai vécu pendant 14 ans. Quand je me suis enfermé, c'était la libération, j'étais bien. Ensuite, petit à petit, je glissais vers une souffrance. En réalité, l'isolement commençait à me peser. Et plus personne à qui parler à part mon ordinateur.
That we change people's image of Hikikomori. There is nothing funny or quirky about being Hikikomori.
I'm glad he said this, because with things like depression as well, people are now romanticizing it. Oh yeah, like my depression room. They just want new labels to collect, right? And it's not cute. Like, let's not make this quirky as well when we're already doing that with things like Tourette's and depression and all these other issues people actually deal with, right, and suffer from.
Voir si y a une pathologie psychiatrique, une schizophrénie, une paranoïa, une dépression.
Vous n'avez plus votre enfant en fait. Vous avez en face de vous un étranger qui ne vous répond pas, dont vous ne savez plus ce qu'il pense.
Let's not start doing that with Hikikomori. I stayed in today. I'm a Hikikomori. Ah, no.
Condition sine qua non à son retour. Je l'ai pris, je l'ai mis à un endroit où il ne pouvait pas. Ça lui a été utile et puis c'était aussi une manière pour moi de me réaffirmer.
Again, where are the dads? There's like one dad here. I've seen very few fathers. It's mostly the moms.
Et hier, j'ai abordé le sujet, donc c'est même pas la peine.
Mothers tend to be, and I say tend to be, not always, a little bit more empathetic and, oh yeah, sweetie, don't feel good, okay, stay in, And then the dads tend to be more like, okay, come on. Especially with the sons, right? Like, you gotta get up, make money, you gotta contribute to society, right? Everyone's situation is different. Maybe the father passed away, maybe, something happened there. At least like a father figure, right? Like someone who can show the son what role they should have in the family. That could be from an uncle, a family friend, whatever, right? But if that's completely missing, no father, not even a father figure, that could be contributing to the problem.
This form of self-isolation is not irreversible. Most young recluses manage to come out of it, but it takes time.
I found another more positive sort of example.
I had been a hikikomori for about 10 years, and I have the autism spectrum disorder. I was bullied by my classmates of my school, and I stopped went to school since after graduate from elementary school. Then I was neglected by my parents, and then I became just staying in my room. After I was 24 years old, I got a job, left my parents' house, and started living myself a variety of non-regular manufacturing jobs to travel to foreign country by alone. And I met many very good friends. I can be able to have a good life if I effort for it. I think anyone can make life more better because people like me doing it.
So what can help these individuals, okay? Physical activity can really improve your mental health. So I'd say encourage people you may know who are struggling with this, maybe you're struggling with this, to try and exercise, even if it's a little bit. Promote sports, right? Where you can meet other people. Volunteering is another thing. If someone is religious or even an agnostic or something, and they're questioning, they have some interest in religion, maybe encourage them to go to church. And if it's the case where an individual is on their phone, on their computer, whatever, for so many hours out of the day, it is so important to take a look at what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're reading, what's the media you're taking in, right? If it's doom and gloom, listening to sad music all the time to reaffirm your sad feelings, that's only going to make the problem worse. If you're someone that loves to watch, tragedies and sad movies and again, sad music, things like that, try and switch it up, okay? Watch a comedy, even if that's not you, even if that is so foreign. Watch something lighthearted, something funny, some uplifting music, some self-help books, even if that's not what you're used to, right? A self-improvement sort of podcast, something inspirational, something that could help you get out of that state and out of your room. I feel like that can have such a big impact on somebody because we can see how negative stories can impact a person. The same goes for positive stories, stories from other past Hikikomoris, right, who used to live that sort of lifestyle and now are traveling the world, are making new friends, have a family. Look at those stories. Don't just go to these online communities so that you can talk about how terrible things are and how things will always be awful and things won't ever get better. It's great to find people who have similar experiences to you, but I think the goal, what you should keep in mind is, okay, we're all here. How can we help each other, right? How can we improve, not just stay addicted to suffering, but actually change our situations? Because change, while it can be a very scary thing, sometimes it's very necessary. But all that being said, if you know someone who has experienced something like this, or you are someone who used to live this way, please comment below what has helped you, what has helped that person, what you think might help. Also remember to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow me on my other socials in the description, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.